All right, for more on this, welcome back. Our first guest, longtime Trump aide and political strategist Roger Stone, also a Florida resident. Roger, thanks for being here today. Interesting reaction there from Ted Deutsch. I mean, he could accuse President Trump of sapping voter confidence, but I think a lot of people would blame Broward County's election supervisor, Brenda Snipes, for that.
Look, Brenda Snipes has a long and established history of both corruption, ballot fraud, and incompetence. She was found to be guilty of violation of both state and federal law when she pulled the same shenanigans in the Democratic primary between progressive Bernie Sanders supporter Tim Canova and her political ally Deborah Wasserman Schultz. Canova's name did not appear on the ballot in some precincts. He couldn't get access to any of the ballots. When the court ordered a recount, they learned that Brenda Snipes had destroyed all the ballots during the trial. So this is not exactly a public official that we can trust. She pulled the same shenanigans in the recent Republican congressional primary, where she will provide no early voting totals, no absentee voting totals, no election day totals, only giving the Republican candidates for Congress a grand total and saying, if you want anything else from me, you can kiss my...
Yeah. Words we can't say at this hour on this program, anyway,
so
Roger.
Here is that these were danger signs. But what Tim Deutsch is saying, in essence, is let there be a lack of transparency. Let Snipes and her allies continue to conspire behind closed doors with no Republican or media observers, as required by law in violation of the state sunshine law, until they can cook something. You could see this. It began on election night.
Yeah.
Brenda Snipes held back 100 precincts, which are hundreds of thousands of voters, even though this is a fully electronically driven voter base. There are no paper ballots here. But she waited until late in the night, reporting slowly and holding back 100 precincts. She won't allow, they are taking specific ballots that have been disallowed in a hearing by the elections board. She's allowing those to be counted when the decision was not to count them. Pam Bondi made a great point today in directions to the Secretary of State and to the head of the FDLE to point out that these are crimes, that they need to act. It's incredible to me that Rick Scott ordered FDLE to impound these ballots, which would have been the right thing to do to ensure an honest count and freeze everything to find out what was coming in the side door, as Matt Gaetz, the congressman, identified them bringing in odd ballots from outside.
Yeah, it's a strange ruling. I guess they're not going to do that. Pam Bondi is stepping up there. She's ordering the Secretary of State to step in. But it seems like, Roger, anything short of letting these votes be counted, whether they're legitimate or not, you're going to get accused of voter obstruction. This is Nancy Pelosi, the next Speaker of the House. She was on Face the Nation over the weekend. She was asked about the president's charge that there's voter fraud in Florida. And this is Pelosi. Let's take a listen.
My experience with the president is any time he charges somebody with something, he's just projecting what he might have done himself. We are not engaged.
Election fraud?
Well, obstruction, suppression of the vote, those kinds of issues are, I think, wrong and not in honor of our sacred right to vote. So no, there is no election fraud. What there is an honest count of the vote.
Roger, it clearly sees like Nancy Pelosi does not really have a grasp on all the facts surrounding what's going on in Broward County.
Look, my guess is we're going to end up somewhere in court, very much like Bush v. Gore ended up in court. And the charges of voter fraud are going to have to be proven in a court of law. And Snipes and her cohorts are going to have to defend their conduct. And the Blucher, the woman the woman who's the registrar, the supervisor of board elections in Palm Beach, are going to have to justify their actions. But there are just too many anomalies here. A box that's marked, two boxes marked provisional ballots are found in the back of a rental car at Avis at the airport. And suddenly a bomb threat is phoned into the airport so that the media can't get anywhere near the Avis facility. But an employee there reported this to the Fort Lauderdale police, and the last person who rented that car was a county employee who is Facebook friends with the Broward County Sheriff and works for county government. The boxes are empty, but they're clearly numbered and marked. Why are there loose boxes of ballots, or presumably that held ballots, floating around? And
Great
why
question.
is the media trying to? And why is the media essentially? I mean, Laura Loomer covered this to the T. Why is the media trying to have a news blackout?
Yeah, perhaps. Maybe they're just waiting to see. I mean, it would take a monumental effort by Brenda Snipes to overturn the vote. There are still tens of thousands of votes separating the two. She may very well try, but there's almost zero evidence this ever really changing a significant outcome in one of these elections, even though these recounts are possible. Roger, we'll see where that goes. I want to switch topics and talk about Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker. Democrats are calling on Whitaker now to recuse himself from the Mueller probe, even though he doesn't really have any real responsibility unless that document is released to him. Now, the fact, something else that Nancy Pelosi was asked about this weekend, here's what she had to say when she was asked whether she has any confidence in Whitaker.
No, I don't, and don't just take it from me. There's bipartisan editorializing about this, that he should never have been appointed, and that it does violence to the Constitution.
Again, Roger, this seems like a convenient talking point for Nancy Pelosi, but we're talking about a temporary appointment for Whitaker here. Much ado about nothing, no?
No, really, it's about oversight of the Mueller investigation. The Democrats are arguing that because Matthew Whitaker has political opinions in his past, that he should somehow recuse himself from his new responsibilities in oversight of the Mueller probe. These are the same people who have no problem whatsoever with the fact that a woman lawyer named Jeannie Rhee, who in private practice represented Hillary Clinton in the missing email case, and represented the Clinton Foundation, and gave $5,400 to Hillary's campaign, and as an assistant attorney general was assigned to the White House, is helping lead the potential prosecution of Roger Stone, when they still have no evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, receipt of any allegedly hacked or stolen emails. So it's a double standard. It's the typical liberal double standard. Whitaker can't have opinions, but I have Hillary's attack dog, investigating me.
Well, Roger, considering your name has come up a lot in the course of Mueller's investigation, how do you feel about Whitaker now being essentially in charge of that investigation?
I just want the Attorney General to follow the rule of law. And get us all refocused. They're supposed to be finding evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or other activities that would be treasonous, cooperating with the Russians. My family was mowed down by tanks in Budapest in 1956. I became a Republican and a conservative because of the anti-communism of Barry Goldwater and later Ronald Reagan. My loyalty is to the United States. I don't much like Russians, but I think the Chinese are a much greater threat to our country at this point. So this is a political persecution. This is, as the president says, a witch hunt. And I hope the new attorney general will, follow the rule of law and good judgment. This has been a partisan witch hunt from the beginning.
All right. Well, we'll see. That report could come down at any moment. Now, any idea, Roger, any indication? Have you still haven't been interviewed by the special counsel?
No, I have not. But if the decision to bring charges is made on the basis of facts and evidence and truth, then no charges will be brought. Could they cook up some process crime? Of course they could. But the central question is whether or not I have lied about receiving materials I never received and getting notice that I never had. So I can prove my case if I'm required to.
All right, Roger.
It is devastatingly expensive. I've had to set up a legal defense fund at stonedefensefund.com. It is time consuming to mount a defense, and it costs money, but I intend to fight.
Roger Stone, thank you for your time. Good to see you.
Great to be here.